watching KSAT 12, home of KSAT.com. KSAT 12 Nightbeat at 10 starts right now.
Well, here it is. You just saw it, a live look at the celebrations going on in Miami tonight after the Heat take home the championship trophy just a few moments ago. Stay with us. Greg Simmons has all the highlights and postgame coming up later in sports.
Also all new on the Nightbeat, a man taking his trash out on the city's west side met with a gunshot and he fired back. It happened about 9:20 tonight in the 4000 block of Sherrill Brook. Police tell us the victim was outside when he was approached by one or two suspects who fired 2 shots at him. He was grazed on the back of the neck and returned a shot. Police do not believe the suspects were hit. The victim was treated at the scene.
And here is our first look at the mugshot of Larry Demers when he was arrested, taken into custody early Monday morning after a car crash that killed his 31-year-old wife, his 1, 4, and 9-year-old sons. Today, his 8-year-old son Abram was taken off life support and died. Coming up here on the Nightbeat, hear from his remaining family members, grateful even after this tragedy.
I must say, there's going to be people to try things, and so you just got to be protected.
Also, a rash of car burglaries has an entire neighborhood on high alert. The one simple thing that could save you a lot of trouble. Good evening, I'm Steve Spriester.
And I'm Isis Romero. New information on a family destroyed by what police say are the actions of just one man driving while intoxicated. After the deaths of 5 people, 4 of them children, the night team's Matt Rivers shows us an entire community is helping those still here to say goodbye.
It was hard for him to go. He died in his aunt's arms.
A decision this family should not have had to make. 8-year-old Abram Demers' family members took the young boy off life support this afternoon. It was hardest on the boy's grandma.
She still expected this baby to live. I guess she wanted something to stay behind from her daughter.
Her daughter, 31-year-old Roxana Demers, was in the car early Monday morning with Abram and her 3 other sons, Silas, Jeshua, and Ezra. Behind the wheel, her husband Larry. Police say he was driving drunk when he crashed.
Everybody and anybody here right now in this family right now, everybody's very heartbroken right now.
But moving forward for a cash-strapped family won't be easy because funerals for 5 are not cheap. So on Saturday, the family will hold a barbecue fundraiser at Jolly Roger's Tattoo Shop. And for that barbecue, the H-E-B here on Valley High decided to pitch in. A store manager heard about the tragedy and contacted the family. And the store will be providing all the supplies for Saturday's event.
It means a lot. It means it's like God's gift.
Anything helps, they say, as this family tries to get through what will no doubt be a brutal stretch of days ahead. Matt Rivers, KSAT 12 News.
Now that barbecue fundraiser to help with funeral expenses is from noon to 6 this Saturday at Jolly Roger's Tattoo Shop. That's located at 383 Valley High on the city's west side.
New on the Nightbeat, one man taken to the hospital after being shot in a drive-by shooting. It happened in the 3700 block of West Salinas around 6:30. It's on the city's west side. The victim told police he was standing in front of his home when an SUV drove by and one of the 2 people inside opened fire and he was shot in the leg. Police tell us they are still looking for that SUV. They did not have a good description.
A 45-year-old man is in the hospital after being accidentally stabbed by his son. Police were called out to the 6000 block of Castle Queen on the east side around 5 o'clock. They tell us 2 women were fighting on a couch in the home when the husband of one of the women came to break them up. His son pulled out a knife to threaten him, and the father unintentionally backed into it. His injuries were not serious, but he was taken to the hospital. No one was arrested. New Braunfels fire officials looking into what set off a house fire this afternoon. It happened on East Common Street off of Loop 337. Neighbors called for help after they saw flames shooting out of the roof. New Braunfels fire officials say the fire started somewhere in the middle of the house and quickly spread to the attic. No one was at home at the time and no one was hurt, but there was a lot of damage. The homeowner says he got a call at work from his neighbor telling him his house was on fire. He told us he's just glad he and his son got out okay.
A rash of car break-ins just north of San Antonio off of I-35. New Braunfels police say they've responded to at least 3 dozen in the last month. And as the night team Stephanie Cerna shows us, it looks like it's happening more and more in residential areas.
It's a fairly new subdivision, and Cynthia Watson says she feels safe here. But a few weeks ago, one of their cars was broken into.
One weekend, our son and daughter-in-law were here, and he left his car unlocked. And the next morning, he noticed that someone had rummaged through the car.
In this case, Cynthia says luckily nothing was stolen. However, that has not been the case for some recent break-ins in New Braunfels. Police there say they have responded to at least 24 in the last 2 weeks. And the car thieves are getting away with electronics, laptops, and handguns.
I'd say in the last 30 days, we've seen an increase in the residential areas that has caused some alarm and caused us to take some actions.
Police are taking action by increasing their presence around the neighborhoods. But they say after looking into all these break-ins, in most cases, the vehicle owners did not lock their doors.
Criminals are actually going up in the driveway to commit the burglary. So what we're letting them know is to leave their porch lights on. If they have an alarm on their vehicle, to activate the alarm.
Many residents today are taking the warning to heart.
I think we just be more aware of what's going on around in our neighborhood, trying to stay aware of who our neighbors are and what's going on outside.
And police have several leads that they are following right now. They say they are tracking down some persons of interest, and they believe that there are multiple groups involved. If you have any information on these break-ins, you are asked to call the New Braunfels Police Department. Steve?
Thanks, Steph. Harlandale ISD has appointed an interim superintendent, one who's already very familiar with the district. Ray Madrigal graduated from Harlandale High School. He spent the past 25 years working there, most recently as the assistant superintendent for maintenance and operations and principal of Harlandale High School and Middle School. The former superintendent, Robert Jacklich, will be moving to take over the school district in Victoria.
Jurors deliberating in the child sex abuse case of Jerry Sandusky have asked to rehear testimony from 2 witnesses. The jurors deliberated until about 9 o'clock tonight. They told the judge they wanted to re-listen to the testimony of Mike McQueary, a former Penn State grad student who reported seeing Sandusky assault a boy in the shower. They also want to rehear testimony from a doctor who testified that McQueary gave him a different account. Earlier today, the lawyer for one of Sandusky's adopted sons said he was also a victim of abuse and was prepared to testify.
15 major banks have had their credit rating cut by Moody's, the ratings agency responsible for judging the credit of entities like banks and even countries. Some of those banks downgraded included Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, and Goldman Sachs. Moody's says the bank's long-term prospects for profitability and growth are shrinking amid volatile financial markets. That downgrade means it costs more for banks to raise money by selling debt. You may not like to be watched while you sleep, but still to come on the Nightbeat, how this scientific study could have lasting effects on our health and even protect us from cancer.
Plus, a bullying video gone viral, and it has people demanding justice against the 13-year-olds that made a bus monitor break down in tears. What police in their hometown are saying about the incident and what they're asking people to do.
And people continue to survey the damage in the upper Midwest after severe flooding there. How much is it going to cost to fix up these torn up roads?
And we've got your winning Texas two-step numbers right here on the Nightbeat. More amazing video coming out of Minnesota as crews continue to clean up after heavy flooding this week. Take a look at these roads with huge chunks of concrete coming right out of the ground. A state of emergency stays in effect for Duluth. The city's mayor estimates the damage as high as $80 million.
Well, it's no secret that lack of sleep is bad for your health, but new research is finding it could be worse than you think. As the Night Team's Jennifer Dodd reports, lack of Z's could land you in the hospital.
Rosendo and Sylvia Gutierrez have been married for 32 years, and for 32 years, he has kept her up most of the night snoring.
Oh my God, from day one of our marriage, from day one.
But about 5 years ago, what was just a nuisance became life-threatening when Sylvia noticed her husband would stop breathing in his sleep.
It was like he was choking.
Mr. and Mrs. Gutierrez entered a sleep study where they came to a room just like this one. They would sleep through the night right here on this bed. The entire time, cameras monitored every move they made.
It turned out Mr. Gutierrez had sleep apnea, a condition neurologist Dr. Angela Velez says researchers are finding is much more concerning than previously thought.
Patients with sleep apnea, they seem to have higher risk for cancer or to get worse prognosis with cancer.
So what is the sleep deprived to do? Wear a mask. It's called CPAP and it controls airflow while you're sleeping. Mr. and Mrs. Gutierrez both wear one now. And while they say cuddling time has changed just a little bit,
We want to watch TV and cuddle up, fine. Then we put the mask on.
they're sleeping better than they have in 32 years. Jennifer Dodd, KSAT 12 News.
Well, turning now to our weather, very warm day and a very windy one I noticed when I was outside.
Yeah, but Steve Brown's been kind of keeping an eye on the Gulf, Steve.
Big excitement in the Gulf of Mexico. We have a tropical disturbance that looks like it's going to turn into a tropical storm over the Gulf, and the question is, where will it go? Today we hit 95. The airport did not have any rain today. Some areas did get some, but it was real spotty though. When's our next chance of rain, and the rest of the forecast straight ahead.
We are not out of a drought, but fireworks vendors are hoping to see a little more green over the next few weeks. They're being allowed to open up shop this weekend. Employees at Mr. W fireworks stands getting ready. Over the last 2 years, aerial fireworks have been banned because of the severely dry conditions across the state. It was a ban that had a big impact on the people who depend on those sales.
A lot of people don't know, because a lot of people don't know or realize that this is a full-time job, this full-year job. We don't staff as many people, but during the off season, we do work here full time.
Those fireworks stands will open up this weekend, and while Bexar and some surrounding counties are out of a burn ban, 83 counties across the state still are in one, including Medina, Karnes, and Frio counties.
New developments in the story of a 68-year-old New York bus monitor, her severe bullying recorded by a group of 7th graders. Police in Greece, New York say they've had to up patrols around the boys' homes after they've received death threats and worse. Law enforcement says that sort of behavior is a step in the wrong direction.
13 years old. Their families have been threatened. Their brothers and sisters have been threatened. We have custody of one of their cell phones, and he had over 1,000 missed calls and 1,000 text messages threatening him. I mean, he is 13 years old. So if I can't, relay anything else, that must stop.
Anti-bullying advocates are demanding harsh punishment for the boys. A fund for the woman they targeted has raised $280,000 to send her on a vacation.
To other news now, they are in good company. We're talking about some of the latest perfect scores given to San Antonio restaurants. Here's tonight's best of behind the kitchen door. Congratulations to Orange Leaf Frozen Yogurt off I-10 at Bernie Stage, Timbo's on Broadway, Wendy's on Calabria at Loop 410, and Wildfish Seafood Grill on Loop 1604. All had 0 demerits on their latest inspections. Don't forget, we've put health scores and more right at your fingertips. Behind the Kitchen Door now has its own tab on KSAT.com. All you have to do is click on the BKD button.
Take a live look outside now at City Cam, 81 degrees as we take a look outside, and nice and warm today, but not too hot. Kind of liked it.
Yeah, and I always like, all right, still plenty to come here on the Night Beat.
The director telling me that I'm a bully and I'm a danger to kids. That hurts, because I love my job.
The Judson teacher accused of ordering a whole class to slap a child says it never happened. Cynthia Ambrose speaks out for the first time in a KSAT 12 exclusive.
Plus, authorities in Austin bust a major heroin ring. Find out how many people were arrested and how an Austin restaurant may have been involved. It's all coming your way after sports.
And we have new NBA champions.